Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here, and OPPO just released their latest flagship phones, the Find X8 and Find X8 Pro, and interestingly enough, they went with the MediaTek Dimensity 9400 flagship chip as opposed to the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip. In this video, we're gonna focus on the X8 Pro. In a future video, I will unbox the Find X8 and we'll do a comparison between the two, talk about the differences, do a camera comparison of checking out what comes in the box, taking a look at that dual periscope lens system that they have in this phone and the new design. Let's get started. Here it is, the Find X8 Pro from OPPO AI phone, and in partnership with Hasselblad for their camera system. Opening the box, let's take a quick look what we get. Some ejection tools, standard booklets, safety guide, and a nice extra. They actually include a case for your phone. Always nice to see that. You get a charging cable, USB Type A to USB Type C, plus a charging brick via USB Type A. This is their 80-watt Super VOOC charging. And on to what you came to see, the Find X8 Pro from OPPO. This is their space black color, looks really clean. Now I'm going to boot the phone up for the first time, and while it turns on, we're gonna take a closer look at the hardware. Down at the bottom, you've got your SIM card slot, microphone, USB Type-C port, and one of your speakers. Moving along on the right side, check this out. You might have seen this before. OPPO's calling this their quick button, which is a quick shortcut. You can take pictures with it. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Moving along, you've got your power button and volume rockers. I also want to point out there's a good amount of real estate to hold on to on the side, especially considering there's a slight, and I mean very slight, curve to that display, still somewhat similar to as if it were a flat display. Also, 40% less camera bump. It's actually kind of crazy how much less it is compared to the previous version. Up towards the top, an IR blaster, nice to see, and another microphone. Along the left side, something I like that they add, the alert slider to go to mute, vibrate, or silent quickly and without having to look. Close look at the back in that color with the OPPO logo, and here's our quad camera system. All four of these cameras use a 50 megapixel lens. The main wide angle camera uses a Sony Lydia 808 sensor. The ultra wide angle lens uses the Samsung JN5 sensor, and onto that dual periscope lens system. Really excited to test this out. We'll show some samples in just a second. One of the periscope lenses is a 3x sensor and the other a 6x zoom. So those are optical zooms. And then of course, when working together, you're supposed to get some really crazy AI telescope zoom with 10x and on. Again, we'll test those out soon. Now that our phone's booted up, I'm gonna run through the setup process, talk about anything that's noteworthy. Sadly, my microphone died, but there is a pre-installed screen protector. That's nice to see. I recommend keeping it on. You do have the option for fingerprint or face unlock. Just setting our finger down, you do get a little bit of haptic feedback. I want to point out while holding the phone, your pointer finger sort of rests under that camera system. It's a little low to my liking. However, I do feel like I could get used to it after using the phone. I just don't want to cover up the lens and smudge it. Obviously, also want to point out the haptic feedback feels really premium after typing in my passwords, and even just now when it's giving me some feedback while setting up my fingerprint. There is AI built into this phone, including Gemini for your AI assistant. OPPO uses ColorOS, their skin on top of Android. We're all set up and ready to go. Right away, there's new quick setting option. You can split them up so they're not all in one depending on where you swipe down on the screen. So if you swipe down on the right side, you get to those quick settings, those quick toggles. You can swipe back and forth once they're down, but on the left side, you get your notification panel. Please keep it between you and me, but I actually had to catch a flight, so now we're filming the rest of this in my hotel room. Sorry about that. Anyways, a closer look at that 6.78-inch AMOLED display. This has a 1264 by 2780 resolution. Like I mentioned, a really slight curvature on the side. Anyways, this is a 120 hertz display, so everything looks really smooth. LTPO, so 1 to 120 hertz. Going into display settings, scrolling down, want to point out that screen refresh rate is set to auto, so it'll change depending on the content shown, but you can force it to high or standard or on a per app basis. Also, screen resolution out of the box set to 1080p, so if you want to take full advantage, you'll have to go in and actually change it. You can't be on auto if you'd like to change the app-specific refresh rate, and when you go into it, you can change it between 60, 90, and 120 hertz. And like I mentioned, on the side, a quick button. It's actually fully recessed into the side frame. You'll notice the other buttons stick out, but this one is just fully in there. You won't hear it click. It's not really click. It's more of a haptic feedback, haptic press. This isn't actually activating it. So you have to actually firmly press down. And if you press once, nothing actually happens. But if I press double press and press twice, there's that camera button. And with our camera opened up, you can just continue to press and snap pictures. Now swiping back and forth is going to allow you to zoom in even further, all without touching the screen. And then let's see if a double press actually does anything else. I don't think it can control or switch settings. I think zoom is the default one. Just to confirm that, going into settings is the double tap, tap to take photos, or slide to adjust zoom. So that is what our quick button does. You can change the pressure sensitivity. So if the sensitivity is really high, it's going to activate easier. Low, you're gonna have to press a lot harder to activate the camera. Okay, so side note, it's actually the opposite. So high makes it so you have to press just a little bit harder to activate that camera as opposed to low. Opening up the camera app, going into it, checking it out, shutter speed super snappy, and then obviously, like I mentioned, 3x and 6x optical zoom, which is pretty crazy. Here's that 6x photo that I just snapped. Going into video, you can shoot all the way up to 4K, 60 frames per second, and there's the master mode as well. You can switch over to Pro so you can completely customize the shot. Even portrait mode has some Hasselblad tuning, just depending on whatever lens you are using. It actually looks really good. Excited for you to check out some shots. Don't forget, OPPO includes some AI features. They have their AI Studio app where you can sort of generate a specific image to your liking. On top of that, their AI editor, which allows you to do things like erasing things from a specific image, even enhancing the photo, unblurring it, and removing reflections. Here's just a few very quick point and shoot shots I got with various lenses on the Find X8 Pro. Be sure to make note of what lens is used in the bottom corner. Anyways, just some other specs while you're looking at these pictures. Want to point out a 5,910 milliamp hour battery, very large, up to 80 watts of charging, but also up to 50 watts of wireless charging. Really nice and welcome, and a lot more camera shots coming soon. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram. And on to our gaming with the Dimensity 9400 chip inside. Just want to play a couple, make sure that our frames are consistent, not dropping at all, in a higher resolution, high detail in all the games. Running through, playing a game of Call of Duty Warzone. I also want to point out you get 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of UFS 4.0 storage as well. And frames have been really consistent. I've been really pleased depending on what game I'm playing. Everything has been smooth. Everything looks really good. Again, everything's on higher settings and gaming feels fantastic. I also really like the haptic feedback this phone has. Side note, we did end up winning this game of Warzone. Anyways, that's it for me for now on the brand new OPPO Find X8 Pro. Drop a comment, let me know what you think. Be sure to subscribe as well. A lot more content coming soon. Be sure to follow me on various social media. I'll post some more pictures on Instagram. Everything will be linked down in the description of the video below. And as always, thanks for watching.